We on? Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my first official Facebook Live, even though I might have played around with it in the past. First of all, I'm here with my nephew Anthony, who's doing all the controlling, and he's like a director gone mad. So it's been an awesome 15-20 minutes while we've tried to set the room up. The lights aren't great, so if I come across pasty, I'm not sick, I'm in full health, and I actually have Mediterranean skin. So hey, it's just bad lighting here at the hub. But it's the best we could muster for today, so we'll soldier on. Anyway, first of all, welcome, and first thing I want to say is thank you for everyone who supported my business so far. It's really, really been appreciated, so I really thank you for liking my blogs and for sharing my blogs and commenting on my posts. For a small business like myself, or an entrepreneur as we like to call ourselves, it's really, really valuable that our word gets out organically, because formal marketing, it's just too expensive. I'd really hope that as you listen today that you might send through some emojis, or more importantly some comments. So if you like something, maybe a thumbs up or a bit of a heart business, or that's an upside down heart, but anyway, a heart business. Thank you, Anthony, he showed me how to do it. It's that one. Anyway, so what I'm here to do today is just have a bit of a conversation about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it's really interesting because I'm about 12 months into this career coaching journey, and it's been an awesome experience so far. And a lot of people are still speaking with me. And recently, for example, I ran into an old mate who asked me how Swinburne was going. And I said, I wouldn't know, I haven't been there for 3 years. So it occurred to me that it's really important for me to get my story out there, and for people to understand who I am and what I'm doing, and probably more importantly, what I'm not doing anymore. So if you're out there, that person, I'm not at Swinburne anymore. I'm founder of FutureU Coaching. So it raises the question, why am I doing this? Why did I step out of my corporate career, and why am I at starting a new business, looking at career coaching, and why did I go out and retrain myself as a coach? The last question's obvious. If you promote yourself as a coach, and if you talk to people as a coach, and you create a business that's based on coaching, I think it's common sense that you actually have a coaching qualification. So I went off and did my coaching qualification after I left Swinburne, and I also did a graduate certificate in career counselling as well, or career practice. So really, really good skills that I've picked up, and now I'm in the process of applying those. But where to start with my story? I suppose if my business is about careers, it's probably just a good opportunity to give you a snapshot of my career, because this business is based significantly on what I experienced in my career, and what the promotions that I got, and the career acceleration that I experienced. And the best way to describe my career, it was a train stop career. And what I mean by that, the best way to visualize it is imagine yourself on a train, and you go past the station and you say, I like that station, I'm getting off here. But instead of the station being a station, the station is actually a job, or a career role. And that's pretty much sums up how I began my career. I was asked if I wanted to be a lecturer in criminology, because I was doing studies in criminology, and I said, why not? Sounds interesting, it'll be a bit of an adventure. From there, I did that for 3 years, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it passionately. I then found an opportunity working in the TAFE sector, where I spent a lot of my time. It's now called the vet sector. It's naughty me. And from there, I went into other management careers within the education sector. I went into project management roles. I worked in the Office of Deputy Vice Chancellor. I went across to Swinburne University. I was at Vic Uni first. I went off to Swinburne. Had a great time there for 5 years in a couple of director roles. But never ever did I plan any of that. Never ever was there a goal to become a director or a vice chancellor of a university and shoot for that. I was simply on this train looking for opportunities, and the things that drove me, my career, was a sense of adventure, this sounds interesting, was something I'd often say. A sense of having a crack. I just didn't want to die wondering. And often I would say to people, I don't think I can do that job, but they would encourage me to do it. And sometimes that was good, and sometimes that was really, really a big mistake. And I certainly wrote a blog about this a few months back where I talked about not necessarily listening to someone who tells you should go for this job, because often they're telling you that out of their own interest and not necessarily thinking of yours. And in my case, I had some successes following that advice, and I had some disasters. Anyway, and the last thing that drove my career was pride. I just was very proud and wanted to excel. And something that I'll talk about a little later, but a part of what I was doing also, I realised, was probably collecting titles. There was a bit of a collection about me. And that's maybe ambition, it is what it is, but that's as open as honest I can be. I had a train stop career based on opportunity, and I was one of those lucky ones who got offered a lot of opportunities. I seemed to get tapped on the shoulder. Do you want to try this? This will be good for you. You can do this. And like I said, that was good. It gave me a lot of opportunities, but also it stepped me into a lot of disasters. And just wondering if there's anyone out there, and give me a thumbs up if you've experienced that before. And that's really important. What I learnt over time was that you need to be really careful when it comes to selecting jobs and selecting your next career move, and those people who promote you and push you generally have your interests at heart, but often they also have their own interests at heart. And what you need to do in that situation is make sure you are a good match for that job role. Anyway, so I'm sure I'm probably talking to people out there that have had the same experience where you're getting taps on shoulders, your career's flying, you've got no goal, no real clear goals, you've got no strategy, it's just happening. And yeah, that sums up my career within the education sector. An important thing to note, the best job I ever had, the job I was most passionate about, the job that gave me that spark, the job that I could look back on and go, this is who I really am, was teaching. When I was lecturing and when I was teaching in the vet sector, teaching in justice and social work and youth work and psychology of crime and a whole bunch of different stuff, that was the time in my career where I felt most aligned to my purpose. I felt like the true me. And it really became clear to me as I started to collect different job titles, as I climbed up that ladder, that was the true me. And I realized that because the more I moved away from that, the less satisfaction I got from my jobs. Now, don't get me wrong, all of my jobs were rewarding, all of my jobs were satisfying. I worked with awesome people, but do you ever get that feeling in your gut where you just go, something's missing, something's not quite right, and you can't put your finger on it? I had that for a long period, and it took me a long while. It actually took me the step off the cliff moment to actually work out what was missing. So anyway, so that's my background. So lots of experience, and one of the things that in starting this business that I wanted to do was to bring these experiences out into the world. I was speaking with someone, a friend of mine, and we're just talking about careers and how careers happen. And he said something really interesting. He said to me, if you can bottle how your career happened, then you could create a business. You could help a lot of people solve some of the riddles of these things called career. And it was actually the spark. That was the spark that led to the idea of creating a career coaching business. The second bit the second bit we'll come back to later. What I'm more interested in talking about, and probably what you're thinking to yourself, is okay, so he's had a great career and he knows how careers work and he might be able to be really supportive in that. But what happened? Why did he give that away? I mean, the corporate career life, and I got to corporate education. That's the level that I was working in towards the end of my career. Again, great people. But what happened for me, and it took me a while to realize this, was I fell out of love. I really fell out of love with this role, and with the previous roles, they were all leading up to it. I felt that sense of misalignment. It felt like this wasn't quite right. I'm doing something I enjoy. I'm not doing something I love. And this was causing some internal tensions. I started to ask questions about, is this what I want to continue to do? Do I want to continue to live this life where I sense something's missing and I don't feel happy? But hey, it's a good job with good money, prestige, and there's plenty of universities and TAFE colleges to hop around. So I could very easily have just hopped around different areas and had a really good education. It's interesting because a lot of my clients have done that. A lot of my clients have said they jumped around because they thought they were unhappy because of the place they worked, or they thought they were unhappy because of the boss they had, or they thought they're unhappy for whatever other reason. And what it turns out is, as we have conversations, is they're actually unhappy because they're in the wrong job role. And I think that's where I got to. Because if you remember, one of the first things I said is teaching was the job I was most passionate about. And that was a really, really important discovery for me. It was something that I had to come to terms with and realize that, hang on, I'm working in an educational institution, but I'm not teaching, and teaching is my love. So once I built up a bit of courage, it was a case of taking that step. And when I left my career, I left feeling relieved. Have any of you experienced that sense of, oh, I'm so glad that I'm out of this, and not out of there, or I'm not working with them. I'm so glad I'm out of this, and it's a real weight being lifted off your shoulders. And one of the things that I did was I vowed never ever to get into a career where I would be unhappy. I would never ever take on a job where I felt that I was unhappy. So hence the whole idea of coaching, because I ummed and ahed and I thought I can go back to lecturing, but I've sort of got, I'm a jack of all trades, but I don't have enough in-depth skills to be able to be certified as an expert in anything. The criminology world, I left that behind many years ago, and really, as much as I love the study of criminology, don't really regret that, but that's the thing that I identify myself most with in many conversations. So going back to the teaching, it was a case of, okay, I don't want to be a lecturer, I don't want to be a school teacher, I don't want to go back to school and learn to work in a primary school, when there's a big drive to get males into primary schools at the moment because there's such a shortage of men working in that field. So, hey, just a little career tip there. So I decided coaching. Because the feedback I'd gotten throughout my career was that in my leadership roles, I was able to coach the teams around me. And coaching was also something that interested me because it's a form of teaching. And one of the key things about teaching is what I call that spark moment. That moment when you are in front of a group and they get it, that you see their eyes light up and yes, and you just look, and that moment, actually, as Delta Goodrem would say, goosebumps. I still get goosebumps over the thought of that moment. And I thought to myself, how can I go back to experiencing that joy? How can I go back to experiencing that happy moment? And that, to me, the obvious thing to me was go to a coaching role, working with people one-on-one to be able to identify what they need to achieve and support them to achieve those goals. And indeed, with all of my clients, I've had so many goosebumps or spark moments that it's really validated the decision. So that's a little bit about me, and it's important to have that background because it helps explain why I do what I do. So what do I do? Just to reinforce, I'm a career coach. Simple. I coach people who are looking for career change. I coach people who are looking for career acceleration. I coach people who have been out of the workforce and want to get back into the workforce and run very bespoke programs that meet the needs of each individual. But why do I do that? Obviously, as I've already said, one of the key things is it takes me back to teaching. It takes me back to who I am and what I love doing. It also has helped me realign myself to my purpose. Even in the previous roles, I used to say to people, I'm a teacher in a leadership role. I always told people I was a teacher. So coaching, again, is that form of teaching. And I also was, I suppose it's a moment of being true to myself. I wanted to go back to the authentic me, the me that is comfortable and the me that is happy, the me that didn't experience some of the pain points that I was experiencing in my previous roles. Because in some of the things that I was experiencing, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that feel the same thing, but you know, in all of my roles, there were significant moments of grumpiness. I was pretty grumpy, and I was bringing this grumpiness home, and it was impacting my relationships. And yes, you can get grumpy at work, but when grumpiness is your permanent state, sort of, you got to ask yourself, you know, there's something not right here. There was that sick moment in your guts that just sort of stuck with me. That, as I said earlier, that my pain point was that this is not right. I don't know what's right for me, but I know right now this is not it. And I'm sure some of you are experiencing that in your careers as well. And some of my other pain points was a sense of being conflicted, the sense of making decisions that were contrary to my teaching values and my education values. I was working in roles where decisions had to be made, which weren't great decisions to make, and it didn't feel right. And this is really, really important, because when you have this conflict between who you are and who you are is based on your purpose and your value and your values and what you want to achieve, and then where you're working and what you're forced to do as part of that job. For someone like me, that was exceptionally difficult, and in the end, it helped accelerate my decision to try something different. So anyway, going back to why I do what I do. So I do what I do for a lot of selfish reasons, because it makes me feel good, and it allows me to do what I do well, which is connect with people and build relationships and create deep and long-term relations and offer support and offer knowledge and create conversations and challenge people. That's me. That's what I love doing, and that's certainly highlighted in my coaching, because you can speak to some of my clients. I can be quite challenging. I can get them to really confront and think about themselves through some very simple questions. So there is a very much a selfish motive about doing what I do, but there's also an altruistic aspect to what I do. I was in a place where many of my clients are now sitting, and I don't like that. I don't like people sitting in that place. And that place is that negativity, that stress, that frustration, that sense of dread about work and career and knowing that they don't fit or it doesn't fit with them. I've been there, and at FutureU Coaching, our big, hairy goal, our big, hairy, aggressive goal is to rid the world of career unhappiness. And if you've been following my blogs, it's key to what I do, career happiness. We want to get rid of career unhappiness. We want people to be happy in their careers. That's what we do, and that's what I believe. And therefore, following that sort of vision, that sort of purpose, it means that allows me to have a positive impact on people's lives. And the positive impact that I seek working with people is working with them so they can have the career that meets their goals, but also fulfills them on many levels: financially, emotionally, physically, and socially. I mean, they're important aspects. And if people can align themselves to careers that meet at least 3 of those, they're going to be in a much happier place. So part of what I do is about helping people be happy. I'm not a counsellor though. We don't counsel. We help people be happy through some counselling techniques, but predominantly coaching. The other thing that I want to do is, as my mate said to me earlier, I have a lot of knowledge. I know how careers can be accelerated. I know what you need to do to transition. I know about networking. I know the interview game. So what I want to do is I want to share those lessons. I want to share that knowledge so that people can move forward successfully and be able to achieve what they want to achieve. And indeed, with nearly all of my clients, I've done a whole bunch of interview coaching, which has been a really positive experience for them, because the interview coaching is as much about calming nerves and helping get your thoughts in order as it is to teaching about how to do an interview, because most of us know. What we don't know is the little tricks that can help us present more successfully. So what else? Yeah, I do what I do because I want to have a positive impact on people's lives and rid the world of career unhappiness. That's the nutshell. So if you're unhappy and you don't like what you're doing, and you're confused, I'm the sort of person that might be of value to you. Knowing that I have the qualifications, the skills, and the programs in place to be able to provide support pretty quickly. So the question comes up: how do I do it? The fundamental way that I run my business is one-on-one coaching. Down the track, I'll be looking at group activities and workshops, but right now I am focusing on providing the best possible support and service to my clients on a one-on-one basis. And what we do is we create, me, but not really me, we in the sense of me and my client. What we do is we create bespoke programs. So what I do is I work very closely with my client to identify what their true needs are. We also, and in identifying those needs, we start to analyse and see whether they are urgent needs or priority needs, or if they can wait. And through this information, we get the genesis of a bespoke, personalised coaching program for that client. Key to what I do, though, is this absolutely awesome career guide report that we produce for all our clients. It's a fantastic report, and every client that's done it has gained a lot of value from it. It's an assessment tool where you go online and you answer 20 short answer questions. Most of them, moving the blocks around, but it's amazing that the information that system can uncover, get out of you to be able to put into the report. And what does this report looks like? It's a really awesome report. It helps identify your greatest strengths and your greatest skills. And this is really interesting because I bet you, if you asked yourself right now, list my top 5 strengths, I don't reckon anyone on the end of this Facebook Live would be able to answer that within 20 seconds. We all have to think about it, and on top of that, we're guessing because we have no way of validating that they are our true strengths. And it's really interesting because in this report, a lot of my clients have said to me, I would never have thought, or I never saw myself as being analytically focused and data-driven. I didn't know that about myself, and I didn't know that I had this leadership potential. And this is all really valuable information because we see ourselves through our own prism, and others see us through their prism. But the true you and your true strengths is probably somewhere in between, but we don't see those. But this report, the Career Guide report, is awesome. And this is really useful because it helps people identify what sort of paths they should follow. So if their strength is leadership, then really they should be looking for leadership roles. It makes sense. I mean, there's a match of strengths. Our strengths come from our values and our purpose. So therefore, there's a nice flow that shows you that you can do that sort of role might suit you. Some of the other things that come out of this report is it helps identify the best job roles that suit your personality, work preference, skills and knowledge. No other assessment tool does this, so it actually tells you the best jobs that fit who you are. Imagine that. Imagine knowing exactly what jobs would be great for you. Imagine the job satisfaction. Imagine your happiness. I mean, it would be an absolute alignment if you're able to get these jobs or similar type jobs with the same skill sets. It would put you in your career happy place. The other thing this report does, it identifies career development opportunities, so identifies both your strengths but also some things that you can improve on. And then most importantly, if you have a particular job role in mind, we can analyse to see how you fit with that job role and the level of enjoyment you'll get out of that job role. So through that career guide, we get lots of information, and that information is also funneled into the coaching program. So ultimately what we do with what I do with my clients is that we sit down together, we look at the report, we look at their other needs, and we put together usually a 6-week coaching program to start with, and quite often a lot of my clients are now moving on to longer periods than 6 weeks because they're seeing value and benefit. So that's a bit of a big picture on how I operate. And what I'll do is I will put a link to a sample of this report in the comments after this podcast, so you can have a look at what one of these reports looks like. And I tell you, it is an awesome, awesome report. Okay, that's about it. So what have we covered today? A bit about me, or maybe some would say a lot about me, and some would say I love talking about me, and that's probably some truth in that, but that's my extroversion. But more importantly, what I'm trying to get across is that I've lived the life of an unhappy career. I know what that feels like. I know your pain points. And if anything I've spoken about today resonates with you, make contact. Drop me an email, or connect through my webpage, or go straight and book yourself into a free career breakthrough conversation. They're free, they're 45 minutes and no obligation at all. So there are ways we can get in touch. If you feel that some of what I've said resonates with you, if you feel stuck, if you can't see where you're going, but you know it's not, you're currently not going in the right direction, they're the sort of conversations that we can have. They'll be really, really powerful. So bottom line, thank you very much for listening. It's been awesome, and I've certainly relaxed. I was pretty nervous when I started, but I've really enjoyed this opportunity. I really encourage you to keep this podcast, follow up if you're not feeling right about your career, follow up career coaching. It's not just me that does it. So if you feel that, yeah, that's an interesting thing that I want to follow up, go have a look. Do yourself a favor. If you're not happy, take action. Do something to work out what you can do to be happier in your career. Obviously, I'd prefer you contacted me. What I ask just before I go is one small favor. If you have that friend that exhibits these pain points that we're talking about and they're not doing anything about it, then I ask you if you could please share this presentation, Facebook Live. Sorry, that's old man talk. If we can share that Facebook Live with them and make them aware that there are solutions and there are opportunities and there are people that specialize in ensuring career happiness. And in finishing, once again, thanks for all your support. I look forward to doing more of these blogs, and I'll be moving towards more technical blogs, a bit more skills-based blogs. But I felt that it was important to just get my message across and to help people understand that I've got a really powerful commitment to rid the world of career unhappiness. It's a big, hairy goal, but let's have a crack. But to have a crack, I need you guys on board as well. So thanks again. See you next time.